how to improve concentration and focus and not to feel so tired and lethargic while you are quitting pornography. I'm Dr. Trish Leigh. Let me tell you how to do it. Now, in other videos on this channel, I'll tell you the brain pattern behind a problematic pornography habit or addiction. And what happens is literally your brain is hijacked so that it can only feel good when it's getting massive amounts of neurochemicals, neurotransmitters, chemicals that your brain produces at a super stimulus is what they call it. So you're getting this massive flood of these neurochemicals that were meant to only flood your brain at lower levels. So now you're getting them at this higher level and you're meant to actually get them in your brain down here. So what happens is it becomes really difficult to focus and to concentrate and to exist in the world without this massive amount of neurotransmitter release. So what is the key to be able to do that as you're coming off of consumption? It is to try. You have to remember that every time that you try to focus and concentrate, you are forcing your brain into the healthy brain pattern that it used to be in, but you're forcing it to be in the calm and focused brain pattern, but you might only be able to keep it there for 3 or 4 minutes right now because it's used to being in this other pattern where it's getting all these neurotransmitter releases. So you have to use a technique called scaffolding. It's just like scaffolding on a building. If you are going to build a 20-floor high-rise building, you can't build floor number 20 until you build floor number 1. And then you build floor number 2. So during this reboot process, focus on building floor number 1. Keep your sights on floor 20. But remember, if you're just starting this process, you might only be able to concentrate and focus for just a few minutes. Don't go back to the habit because that's what you're going to want to do. Your brain's going to tell you, but remember, it's the hijacker. It's going to tell you, you used to be able to concentrate, no problem. Remember this, that's artificial and it's blowing out your brain while you are dumping all of these neurotransmitters into your brain. It's literally changing your brain for the worse every time you do it. So you may have to struggle through sometimes of decreased focus and attention and feeling lethargic or tired, but go do it anyways. Force yourself into that brain pattern so you can start rewiring the brain in that direction, because every time you use that pattern, it's a W on the board and you are rewiring it in the right direction. So you have to make yourself do it to start off, but then it will become easier and easier and easier over time after you haven't used that old brain pattern for a while and you've been using the new, better one for a little while. You'll feel a shift, but you may have to struggle through those first couple days. And in another video, I'll give you some supplement recommendations, and in a different video, some food recommendations on how you can try to sustain higher levels of energy, even though your system's going to be running a little bit lower, but you're going to have to push through it. And I've already shared one tip that exercise and really cranking some weights. If you lift weights, crank some heavy weights, because that is known to really get those neurochemicals moving in your brain. Or do some really good cardio. That will help you out also. And if you have a hobby that you love that you have to use your brain in, do that as often as possible too, because it should be easier to focus and concentrate in your hobby than it will in, let's just say, calculus. So if you like to play pool, or if you like to shoot darts, or you like to play the guitar, do that, because that will be a first easy step for you to be able to focus and concentrate on a thing that you like. Then you can do that for longer and longer time frames. Then you can move on to AP Calculus, because it will be more difficult for you to be able to sustain concentration in a thing that is boring or challenging for you. So scaffold yourself from something that's easy, then do something that's a little bit harder, then do something that's a little bit even more challenging. And if you're a student, you likely will have to do this in different classes. So a tip for students is to start with the classes that are harder for you earlier in the day when you have more energy. Put in a couple minutes. If it's at 3 or 4 minutes, you're gonna have to force yourself to get through the harder classes, and then save the easier ones for when you have less brain power later on. Okay, so remember, control your brain or it'll control you.